Motion.
Regular meeting of the Board of Directors, call to order. Roll call.
President Greg Wood,
Here.
Vice President Rick Webb, excused absent. Director Gregory Washington,
Here.
Director Byron Glennon,
Here.
Director Ben Stewart.
Here.
And please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, have a motion to approve the agenda.
Moved. Second.
Motion made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Washington. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. At this point, I will dispense with the reading of the statute for public comments, but let the record show that we're open the floor for public comments. So if anybody wishes to address the board on any non-agenda items, please approach the lectern now. And being as there are none, I will close public comments. Do I have a motion to approve minutes M1 through M3?
Moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Washington. Any comments on the minutes? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I'd like to get a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved. Second.
Motion is made by Director Glennon, seconded by Director Washington. Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, move on to new business. New business 1, approve the purchase of 1,180 acre feet of carryover water not to exceed $420,000. Steve Perez.
As you're aware, we've been negotiating to buy quantities of water to stabilize the effects of the adjudication and the reduction of about 2,600 acre feet. And this is one move forward, positive move to acquire 1,180 acre feet of carryover water. Added to what we have currently, could serve the community at this point to almost 2 years. And the price on it is probably going to be a little bit less than $420, but we'll do the final negotiations. So in order to avoid not having a board meeting and approval, we're asking for the not to exceed $420.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve MD1?
Moved. Second.
Motion is made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, MB2, aboard the ACP pipeline project contract, Steve Perez.
I'm going to turn this over to John Houghton, Director of Public Works, to give a report on the ACP project. John?
So we went out to bid a month ago, and we didn't get quite the bids that we were expecting. We didn't get enough contractors, so we reopened the bid process to a non-mandatory meeting, which we got 3 interested contractors that contacted us by phone, but at the bid opening we only received 2. One of them was from California Compaction, and the other one was Downing. California Compaction came in at 2.318. Our engineer's estimate was 2.4. Basically, we came in $60,000 less with California Compaction's bid than the engineer's estimate. The other contractor bid right at 2.4 million. So both of them were within the engineer's estimate. And we talked to council about not getting 3 bids because it's, practice to get 3 bids. It's not mandatory from what I understand. We've done our due diligence. We extended the bid process and we still only got 2 bidders on the project. So it's staff recommendation that with your consent that we move forward with the project.
The engineering committee met and talked a lot about this, and the engineering committee also recommended to go with the staff as recommended.
Yes. Okay, any questions from the rest of the board?
For the public's knowledge, what does ACP stand for?
Asbestos concrete pipe.
All right, with that, do you have a motion to approve MB2?
Moved. Second.
Motion made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, new business 3, declare property located at 2645 Diamond Street, APN 258-074-19, surplus property, and authorize staff to obtain appraisal.
This item, the old library, if you will, on Diamond Street, the community building now for the Rosamond Community Services District, is in need of repair. And we have the East Kern Historical Society wishing to take and locate their function in that building. Having to jump through the hoops of trying to get it repaired so they could do that has presented a cost that is probably exceeding what the district wants to put into it. So it was thought that we would look at the property, determine it surplus, jump through the hoops that we have to jump through as far as we have to present it to local public agencies, and there's 2, the County of Kern and the Southern Kern Unified School District, as well as any low-income housing, to see if they would want to bid on it. So that's part of the hoops that we'll jump through. From that point, we have to have an appraisal, then we go through a potential sale. But at this point, in order to do so, to move forward, the board needs to determine that this property is surplus, and we can start the process of trying to get that property sold.
And Steve, can you address publicly the estimates that you got to actually make the building usable on our part?
Well, I think, I'm trying to recall, but it was between $50,000 and $70,000 is what I recall. It was the estimate. The Historical Society wanted to do that work because it was a public building. It was subject to prevailing wage and everything else, and it would drive up the cost of the volunteers that were going to volunteer their time. Because it was a public works building and project, people couldn't volunteer their time any longer without being paid prevailing wage. So it was a total mess from a legal standpoint, and all the hoops that have to be done in order to have the community benefit of East Kern Museum. So it's this is the route that we have turned to. I proposed this situation to the county supervisor also, and they suggested that we go through the sale price. They didn't want to take it as inventory into the museum, the Kern County Museum. It would be cleaner if we just afforded a sale and to the Historical Society should no one else bid on
Do I have a motion to approve MB3?
1 second. Can I ask a question real quick, Joe? Should I abstain from this, or do I want to vote on this?
Not at this point, because this is just initiating the process to send the notice of availability of the property out to various public agencies who might be interested. So,
Thank you.
I make a motion, we deem the property surplus.
Second, NB3.
Have a motion by Director Washington, seconded by Director Glennon. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, MD4, authorize a payment of $150,000 to GEI Consultants for engineering services on the arsenic consolidation project. Steve?
The arsenic consolidation project is a project that is trying to consolidate various small water producers or mutuals in the greater Rosamond area. This project has been going on prior to my arrival in 2011. For various reasons, it's been held up. Partly engineering, partly trying to get approval from the various mutuals. Each one of them, save maybe one, I believe, have a violation of arsenic levels or other constituents that the state Division of Drinking Water deems that they have to mitigate. It is a grant that it would be obtained from the state, and in putting this all together, the GEI engineering consultants have been doing the bulk of the engineering work. And at this point, we're in the final stages. The agreements are finalized, being finalized currently, and will go out any day to the various entities. All of the financial information needed by the state has been submitted, and GEI, the engineering group, is owed about $237,000 for which they haven't been paid. The invoices have been going to the state, but we're contracted with GEI. GEI up to this point has been willing to wait for the state, but there's been just various stops and starts that have extended the period of time. In order to continue, we need GEI to do one final step and continue after the issuance of the revenue for the construction to do a couple more steps. However, this debt is hanging on them, and as a smaller company, it's a significant debt. Now, they're not a real small company, but the debt is large and larger than they can continue to carry. They've been carrying it for about 2 years and have requested a $150,000 payment, not all of what's owed. And we would be reimbursed for this as soon as the state funds the project. Hopefully, within the next couple months, 2 or 3 months at the most, we should have funding for the project to move forward.
So this is a $150,000 reimbursable expenditure.
Exactly. And so we're requesting authorization to fund this $150,000 from the general fund and bring GEI to a point where they'll continue their work. In order to continue with another engineering group would cost us double to reinvent the wheel. So the suggestion is, and the recommendation is to authorize payment.
Any questions? Okay, we have a motion for NB4.
Moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Glennon. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, Director's reports, comments, future agenda items. Yeah, start with you, Mr. Washington.
Okay, I didn't really have a report tonight, but with this being the last meeting of the year, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you and your staff a happy holiday. Appreciate the efforts this year, and special thank you to Lizette and John for your interim roles this year. The stability you provided in those positions kind of got us through the way. So that's about all I have.
Stuart?
I don't have anything at this time. I wrote this to try to keep it brief. This is from the, we just got back, Steve and I were at the Aqua meeting down in San Diego, JPIA Aqua. The JPIA meeting was 2-day meetings. They went through the audit of the organization. That's Joint Power Insurance Authority. They updated their new established captive insurance company. They went through their investment policy guidelines and changed a couple of those. They gave the history of their liability claims, their property claims, their workers' comp, and their health programs through Anthem, PPO, and then Delta, dentist, and VSP for vision, wellness, and they went through their various training programs. Then they had 2 sessions. One was on principles and guidelines for a steady, stable meeting, and it was humorous. This presentation was actually a board meeting, and the people who did it had people that read a script, and when you're supposed to stay out of order, and point of order, and all those kind of things, and it was a humorous script, but it was a very informative meeting. And then another workshop I went to that JPI put on was advanced planning, customer engagements and engagement, community leadership development. Then I went to the local government committee meeting, which I'm on the Aqua local government committee meeting. They talked about reserve funds, that we need to be proactive and transparent, and why we've established our reserve funds. Keep stable rates, short-term emergencies, favorable interest rates, bonds, publish policy for establishing reserve levels. And we've been doing that the last couple of years, and it would probably be good for us to maybe get a report as a board, how we're doing as far as all those reserve funds. We need to be proactive and being transparent, because the state would love to consolidate us and take those funds. Put Rosamond Community Service District together with the city of Mojave or something like that, and just have one board that covers all of that and eliminate the cost of separate districts. And then this one was really interesting to me. They're talking about putting fixed water charges on the tax bill. And some have already begun to do that. If you're not aware, at one time, we moved the fixed sewer fees to the tax roll and got a lot of heat for that from multiple investors, not necessarily homeowners, but investors. So we took it back off the tax roll, and that actually has cost the district $150,000 a year to collect it the way we're doing it now, than on the tax roll. And there is a fixed cost for your water. It's the same every single month. That could be put on the tax rolls also, so your water bill would only be consumption, what you use. And there's a move towards that. Of course, there's resistance to that. Most homeowners don't want things put on the tax bill. But according to their understanding, it's legal under 218 to do that. Then one of the meetings was a lady, C. Van Colhan. She's an Israeli American. She was the CEO of Nora Water Technologies, and she spoke on the story of Israel's success in managing water and how that could relate to California needs. I don't know if California legislature would listen to what Israel did, but if they did, it would solve California's water problems if they understood what Israel did and followed that. Then I went to the regular meeting for Region 6 and 7 for Aqua. I'm on that board. Then a couple other workshops. I went to how to hold a successful 218 hearing, water storage proposals, Prop 1, 2.7 billion in grants. 3 of the projects reported. Our project, Willow Springs Water Bank, is one of the 7 that was funded. And we actually had more money than 2 of the projects that were presented. Went to a meeting called Regional Governance, Solving California's Complex Water Challenges. Instead of having the state give one formula for everybody, regions need to develop what they need in their area. Instead of California saying everybody has to do the same thing. And of course, the push from there is to have a regional governance rather than state governance. And then human resources, I went to a couple on human resources. One of them was, how do you get your employees engaged? And of course you pay them, but you got to do more than pay them if you want to really get them engaged. And one of the ones I went to, human resources, talking about your employees and the success of your district depends on how engaged your employees are. Engagement doesn't mean showing up at 7 o'clock and going home at 5 o'clock. That's not what it's talking about as far as engagement is concerned. And I think as far as the general statement about our employees, that we have significant employees that are engaged, and that's to our benefit. I could make it a longer report, but I thought that was real quick. You might chime in at some of the meetings that you went to at Aqua too.
Yeah, I did. I received 2 certifications at Aqua. Those are meetings that I had to recertify in. And I also attended the PFAS, another PFAS meeting. And in that meeting, sitting next to a gentleman, we were talking back and forth right towards the end of the presentation. And one of the comments I made to him is, where can we even send our samples? And he said, I said, I don't even know of a lab that can detect that low, 1 part per billion or 5 parts per billion, or trillion, excuse me. And he said, my lab can. And we got to talking, and I said, well, how expensive is that to do baseline testing? And it was a heck of a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be, because they checked for 18 different constituents, and it's about $275. So it's not bad. We talked, I got his card, we'll talk again sometime, and we are planning in January. Were you gonna report on this?
What was that?
Hmm?
What was that?
The PFAS.
Oh,
In January, we're planning on having a gentleman group come in and give us a presentation on PFAS again. I think that's on the 16th of January. So we'll have more information on PFAS as time goes on. And that's all I have for Aqua. I could go further.
All right. I would just like to say Merry Christmas to everyone. And I'd also like to extend gratitude to our staff and for all the hard work they've done in the past year of keeping things on even keel with all the changes we had going on here at the agency and compliances with the regulatory agencies and all of that. And I also want to thank all of my fellow board members for, you know, keeping things working together and keeping things on an even keel, and I think we have a great team here at the RCSD, from from the newest employee all the way up to the top. And, because everybody is here for the same thing, and that is to be positive and make a difference. And that's all my comments. And with that, we'll go to general counsel update
No update.
and general manager update. Now you get long-winded.
Wow. I gotta do another update. I don't think I have anything. Yes, we do. We have the wastewater treatment plant, and it's progressing as we hoped, and the weather slows down a little bit about tonight. We have Dave Saltman and Tom Llewellyn to present a video. And this is what the board had requested us to do, is to show a video of the progress that was occurring during the construction of the wastewater treatment plant. This video will be used to inform the public of what is being done and how much of their money is being spent in doing so. Hopefully we'll have it set up for a running total when you view the video, so you'll know to that date how much money has been drawn. So without further ado, I'll move out of the way and let Tom. They're going to set up and show you a video. If I don't forget Tom's last name, I forget Dave's first name.
Oh, no.
Okay, so at the last meeting, we were hired to come in and assist in essentially telling the story of the wastewater treatment plant. The community's investing a lot of money, and it's hard sometimes to see that money, especially because you don't want the community crawling around your construction site. There's some safety concerns with that. So we've begun this project. It'll be an 18-month project. What we have here is your first video update. Because there hasn't been much construction, there's not much of a video. It's a little short because there hasn't been a lot going on. And then we'll show you as well a panorama. Steve will kind of give us a virtual tour of the construction site, and we'll go from there. So with that, here is your December update.
You're currently looking south from the northern portion of the water treatment plant. These are evaporation ponds currently, and right about where the U in the update is the office building for the wastewater treatment plant. We're looking down on the biolac, the dark center portion there, and the round thing is a clarifier. Just to the north of that clarifier was another big hole that has just been dug for an additional clarifier, a bigger one. These are drying beds for the sludge. One was removed to make way for the new clarifier. That's the big hole right there in the center. And there's an excavator digging out that big clarifier hole. We're flying right now to the east towards the dry lake bed. And just to the right of that dark rectangle will be a new biolac system setting next to it. That's the expansion for the aeration of the wastewater that goes through the plant. We plan on, in the lower, or one of the corners of the video, in the future, Dave and Tom are going to have the update for the cost to date, so the public can see that. There'll be a link provided, so you can, whenever at your leisure, you can go online and pull it up and see how it's progressing.
Okay, do you want to take us, kind of lead us through the panel?
Okay.
Can you just tell me which way you want us to go?
Let's see, let me get oriented. Okay, we're looking north. We're looking north from, at the evaporation ponds, and right there to the bottom is the new clarifier. And to the left of that is the old clarifier, or the existing clarifier. It's a lot smaller, you can see, and the biolac system. The wastewater will go to into the headworks where the solids are removed, and it goes through a grit chamber, and then the fluids come into this rectangular portion where it's infused with air, and it creates the biological degradation of the biological matter in there. The fluid will flow into the round clarifier, and then from the clarifier, most of the solids that are left will start settling out, and you'll have a clearer form of water that's obtained as it leaks over a curb and into a trough, and then will be sent out from there to the settling ponds where it'll percolate. What Tom's showing you is looking east. This area out here is the new settling areas, the sludge basins. How many do we have?
There'll be 6 total.
Six new settling basin or sludge basins there. Coming back around to the right. Let's go to the right. There's the old ones. The old settling basins, and you can see that they're not filled up or anything. They're regularly dried out and cleaned and reused. Now the area just to the right of the settling basins, you'll see that there's percolation ponds, 1, 2, and to the right 3. We'll have 3 percolation ponds. We'll be able to utilize those ponds for the water that goes out to percolate. And I believe to the east, back around to the left, out there isn't that an overflow?
Emergency storage.
Emergency storage in the event that something should happen and we need to put that water somewhere, that will be used. And coming around, there's also an area at the top there that can be used for an additional percolation basin or emergency basin to the north or to the west there. And if you'll zero in on the building, the office building to the right, there you go, right in there. That's the office building, the current office building that will stay there. And that's pretty much what we have. We have solar to the right, just to the left of the red pin there. There's solar that runs the aerators in those aeration evaporation basins there. Those will dry out, we'll mitigate those, and probably level that out at some time, maybe keeping a few for emergencies, but they'll be remediated. And that's about the extent of the project right now.
So under the direction of Mr. Perez and Mrs. Grit, that's your last name, Guerrero, we've produced this media. This is available to the public. It's there. We also have media drives that we can share with any of the newspapers that want them as well. So, I think we're good.
I'd just like to point out to the public, you can go to the clarifier, the new one, and show the old one there. The clarifier you see at the top of the picture there, when the water gets into that, after it leaves the biolac basin. If you were to stand and look over the edge of that, and as the water rises up to the launderers that's inside the basin and spills over, it looks crystal clear. I mean, it's very clean looking water. The only thing really left inside of the clarifiers at that time would be what you'd call suspended solid or suspended matter. But it's inert, and so that would be removed if you were to run it through the filters, and that would remove any of the microscopic stuff out of there. And then you go into the UV system, and that gives you your Title 22 tertiary water. But it's amazing to see the size of the clarifier and the size of the new one, how big of a process it is. That's a big clarifier. That's for the round clarifier, that's on the equivalent of one that you would see in a major treatment plant like Orange County Sanitation or something like that. But when the water that's going to spill over into the launderers, that's the water that's going to be percolated into the ground. And so anything that's in the water is still going to settle out and be removed from it before it actually goes into percolation. So the water is going to be in pretty good shape when it hits the ground and then percolates into the aquifer. But I just wanted to point that out to her to kind of just see the size difference on, how big that clarifier is. And then we're building a biolac north of the existing, or south of the existing biolac. And so it's a neat project. And so when you guys are looking at these online, kind of see how the process works. And it's going to be really cool when it's done.
So we're in the process right now of getting the links up on the website. So this panorama that you're able to scroll around it, like I said, this is publicly available right now. We're working on linking it on the website, but this is so that anyone that's in Rosamond that wants to see how their money's being spent, they can see it. And we will be updating these panoramas. You'll probably get 1 or 2 a month, depending on how quick construction goes and how dramatic the change is. We took a new one today, so you see a lot of the standing water from the rains that we recently had. We'll have that up in the next couple of days because we need to get it together, upload it, and develop all the labels. And you'll just have the collection of those, so you can actually go through in each one and see the progress that's being made. So, with that,
Very good.
Thank you very much. Tom and Dave do a tremendous job for us doing this videography, and that the board felt it was necessary to show the community what we were doing. We'll also be doing this on the ACP project that John reported on earlier. As they start putting pipe in the ground, new water lines, we'll be doing that also and showing the community what we're doing there.
Study report.
That's it.
Good touch.
Yep.
Any questions of our general manager? Thank you, Steve. Okay, Assistant General Manager update, was that?
Good evening. I just wanted to provide you an update on the district expansion of the district facilities. So the district had retained Mr. Carlson to provide a preliminary design of the expansion of the district facilities. And its main purpose was to add additional space for records, emergency supply storage, and an emergency operations center. Going through and identifying the needs of the district, we determined that we have run out of space in the public works facility as well. Mr. Carlson was the original architect that designed both of these facilities and had informed us that we were able to expand. There were 2 bays that we could expand on in that facility to accommodate the growth. So we included that in the design. And at this point, we took the design to the engineering committee on Monday and are recommending moving forward with hiring an architect and an engineering company to perform the A&E services, which consists of working drawings for permitting and construction. And they'll be able to give us a better idea of what the total cost of the project would be, and this will be coming before the board in January for your consideration. And I just wanted to also wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Any questions of our assistant GM? Thank you, Lizette. Consultant finance update, is there one this evening? Or?
I just wanted to comment in regard to water purchases. What we're trying to do, either in the carryover water or permanent water, is to maintain our negotiations for the purchases so that it doesn't impact the rates as much as possible. Hopefully, if everything goes right, we'll be able to acquire a substantial amount without having to increase the rate to the ratepayers.
Okay. And Director of Public Works update, John?
Yeah, since the last meeting, the Public Works crew worked on 14 service line leaks. They've also been exercising valves on the south side of Rosamond Boulevard from 35th Street to 30th Street. They just currently are doing the meter reading. They also did door tags and doing some weed abatement at the wells. I just want to give the board notice that we have 6 employees here at the district now that have their Distribution 3 license, which is as high as they can go as long as they work here because of our system size. We had 4 people test in November in water distribution, water treatment, water distribution, and wastewater. And we got a D3 operator in wastewater now. We have a wastewater 1, and we got two other guys that tested on their water treatment and water distribution, and both passed those also. So the public works guys are working hard on getting all their certifications, and 5 of them are topped out as high as they can go with water or water treatment or water distribution until our system changes in classification size. So something to be proud of.
Yeah, definitely. Congratulations to all of your staff for doing that.
Thank you.
Any questions of our Director of Public Works? And Public Works Manager, I don't see Brock here this evening.
I'm sick.
Okay, with that, I'd like a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Washington. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned at 7:01. 4-0.